When Tank Commander Sophia Morgan's modern targeting systems malfunctioned, 30 enemy tanks surrounded her until she destroyed them one by one using her grandfather's Vietnam War tactics. Captain Sophia Morgan gripped the controls of her M1A2 Abrams main battle tank as it rumbled across the rolling hills of eastern Colorado, her green eyes scanning the horizon through the commander's thermal sight. At 29, she was the youngest tank company commander in the 1st Armored Division, leading Alpha Company's 14 tanks in what would prove to be the most challenging engagement of her military career. Thunder 6, this is Steel 1, Sophia reported into her headset. Approaching engagement zone, enemy armor movement confirmed on long-range sensors. Copy, Steel 1. Intelligence indicates approximately 30 enemy tanks advancing in your sector. Mix of modern T-90s and upgraded T-72s. Your mission is to hold the line and prevent breakthrough to our supply depot. Sophia checked her tank systems one final time. Her Abrams carried 40 rounds of 120mm ammunition, including armor-piercing depleted uranium rounds capable of penetrating any known enemy armor. The tank's advanced fire control system could engage multiple targets simultaneously while moving at full speed. But today would test more than just her equipment's capabilities. The enemy had committed their entire armored regiment to this assault, 30 of their most advanced tanks commanded by Colonel Viktor Kozlov, a veteran of multiple conflicts who had never lost an armored engagement. Intelligence suggested this was their final push to break through American defensive lines. Visual contact, Sophia announced as enemy tanks appeared on the distant ridgeline. Count 30 hostiles. They're advancing in textbook Soviet formation. Looks like we're facing a professional commander. Through her thermal imaging system, Sophia could see the enemy formation moving with disciplined precision. Their lead elements maintained perfect spacing while supporting units positioned for mutual fire support. But Sophia's story doesn't end here. Because when her systems malfunctioned, what she did changed all modern tank warfare doctrine. Steel 1, be advised. We're detecting massive electronic warfare interference in your sector, came the urgent voice from Thunder 6. Enemy jamming systems are targeting your digital fire control. Sophia felt her stomach drop as warning indicators began flashing across her tank's display panels. The thermal imaging flickered, then went completely black. The digital fire control computer started showing error messages, and her advanced targeting systems indicated multiple failures. Thunder 6, I'm experiencing total fire control failure, Sophia reported, trying to keep her voice steady. Thermal sights down, ballistic computer offline, target tracking systems dead. I'm fighting blind out here. Steel 1, recommend immediate fallback. Without digital fire control, you cannot engage 30 enemy tanks effectively. Withdraw to secondary positions for system reset. Sophia looked through her tank's vision blocks at the enemy formation closing on her position. 30 modern tanks against 1 Abrams was already overwhelming odds. Without her advanced electronics, it became a suicide mission that no rational commander would attempt. But Sophia Morgan had something most modern tank commanders lacked, a grandfather who had fought tank battles before computers existed. Negative, Thunder 6, supply depot contains ammunition for the entire division. If they break through here, we lose the entire sector. Steel 1, without digital fire control, you cannot achieve effective gunnery. How do you propose to engage 30 hostiles? Sophia switched her tank systems to manual mode, feeling the raw mechanical power of the machine respond to her direct control. In her mind, she could hear her grandfather's voice from countless childhood stories about tank warfare in Vietnam. Sergeant Major John Tank Morgan had commanded M48 Patton tanks during the Vietnam War, fighting in terrain and conditions where electronic systems would have been useless. He taught young Sophia that tanks were more than just sophisticated weapons platforms. They were mobile steel fortresses that could dominate any battlefield if the crew understood fundamental principles of armored warfare. Granddad always said the most important part of any tank is the crew, Sophia muttered to herself, remembering his words. Electronics can fail, computers can break, but a well-trained crew can fight with anything. The enemy squadron had spread into attack formation, clearly confident that their electronic warfare systems had neutralized the lone American tank's threat capability. Their lead tank's radio transmission crackled over the common frequency. "American tank, you are outnumbered 30-1 and your systems are compromised. Surrender now and your crew will be treated according to Geneva Convention." Sophia smiled grimly inside her tank commander's hatch. "This is Captain Sophia Morgan, United States Army. I don't surrender, and I don't retreat. If you want this position, you're going to have to take it." She ordered her gunner to switch to manual targeting, techniques that modern tank crews barely practiced because computer systems made them seem obsolete. But Sophia had spent summers learning these skills from a grandfather who considered electronic fire control a fancy addition to basic gunnery. The first enemy tank came at her from the northeast, confident that his superior numbers and advanced fire control would end the engagement quickly. What he didn't expect was Sophia's response. Instead of trying to outmaneuver 30 tanks, Sophia used terrain exactly as her grandfather had taught her. She positioned her Abrams hull down behind a ridgeline, exposing only her turret while keeping her tank's vulnerable areas protected. "Range 2,400 meters, Sophia called to her gunner. "Target moving left to right at approximately 25 kilometers per hour. Lead the target and fire when ready." Without computer assistance, her gunner had to calculate lead time, range, and target movement entirely by experience and instinct. The 120-millimeter gun roared, and the armor-piercing round streaked across the battlefield. The enemy tank exploded in a brilliant fireball. "First kill confirmed," Sophia announced calmly. 29 hostiles remaining. Now comes the most shocking part. When Sophia's true tank mastery was revealed, even the enemy brigade commander considered surrender. The enemy formation reacted with shocked disbelief. Their electronic warfare systems were supposed to render the American tank helpless, but instead, they'd just watched their lead element get destroyed by manual gunnery that shouldn't have been possible. "How did she make that shot?" Colonel Kozlov demanded over their communications. "Her fire control systems are completely dead." Sophia was already moving to her next firing position. She'd identified the enemy's weakness. They were too dependent on their advanced systems and predictable modern tactics. Against a tank commander who understood the fundamentals of armored warfare, their technological advantages became liabilities. The second enemy tank tried to engage Sophia from long range, betting that his superior fire control computer would give him the advantage. But Sophia had already moved her tank to a new position, using a technique her grandfather called shoot and scoot. "Granddad always said the first rule of tank warfare is don't be where the enemy thinks you are," Sophia muttered, positioning her Abrams behind a small hill. When the enemy tank crested the ridge looking for her previous position, Sophia was waiting with a perfect flank shot. Her gunner, now adapting to manual targeting, put the round exactly where it needed to go. The second enemy tank erupted in flames. "Second kill confirmed," Sophia reported. "Target destroyed." Colonel Kozlov watched his second tank fall and felt genuine concern for the first time in his 20-year career. This American commander was using tactics that predated modern warfare doctrine, but they were devastatingly effective. "All units, concentrate fire on the American position," Kozlov ordered. "Use overwhelming firepower. She cannot fight all of us simultaneously." But Sophia had already anticipated that exact response. Her grandfather had faced similar odds in the Mekong Delta, where North Vietnamese forces often outnumbered American tanks by significant margins. But wait, you haven't heard the most unforgettable part of the story yet. When Sophia made that maneuver, a 50-year-old military secret was finally solved. Sophia pulled her tank into a position that would be studied in armor schools for decades. She used the enemy's numerical advantage against them. Instead of trying to avoid their concentrated fire, she positioned herself so their attacks would mask her movements and create confusion in their formation. She moved her Abrams to a position where multiple enemy tanks would have to fire across each other's paths to engage her. Then, using her tank's superior armor and her crew's manual gunnery skills, she began systematically eliminating targets while they struggled to coordinate their attacks. Her third kill came when two enemy tanks tried to bracket her position from different angles. Sophia executed a tactical movement that put both tanks in a crossfire situation. If they fired at her simultaneously, they risked hitting each other. When they hesitated, she struck with devastating precision. Both enemy tanks were destroyed by rapid, accurate fire from her main gun. "Double kill confirmed," Sophia announced. 27 hostiles remaining. Colonel Kozlov couldn't believe what he was seeing. His crews were among the best in the world, operating advanced tanks with superior fire control systems, but they were being systematically destroyed by a single tank commander who was fighting with techniques from the 1960s. "This is impossible," Kozlov muttered. "She's fighting like she can predict our movements." Sophia's fourth and fifth kills came in rapid succession. She'd identified the pattern in the enemy formation and started exploiting their predictable responses. When they advanced, she was already positioned for their retreat path. When they spread out, she concentrated fire on their most vulnerable units. Her manual gunnery had become supernaturally accurate. Each shot was calculated with mathematical precision that no computer could match because it incorporated variables that no computer could process: intuition, experience, and pure tactical instinct inherited from a grandfather who had mastered these skills in actual combat. Here's where the story really begins. Because when Sophia's systems failed, her grandfather's tactics collapsed the entire enemy strategy. The remaining enemy tanks were beginning to show signs of demoralization. They'd started the engagement confident in their overwhelming numerical advantage, but a third of their force was already burning wreckage scattered across the Colorado hills. Sophia wasn't just beating them, she was making them look like amateur crews operating training vehicles. Her sixth kill demonstrated why she'd earned command of Alpha Company at such a young age. An enemy tank tried to engage her in a frontal assault, betting that superior speed and firepower would overcome her defensive position. Sophia let him commit to his attack run, then executed a maneuver that combined modern tank capabilities with Vietnam-era tactics. She used her tank's reverse speed to create a moving engagement while maintaining accurate fire, a technique her grandfather had perfected in the dense terrain of Southeast Asia. Her gunner's shot struck the enemy tank's front armor at the perfect angle, and the tank disintegrated in a massive explosion. 6 down, 24 to go, Sophia announced with deadly calm. Colonel Kozlov realized his regiment was facing something beyond normal military capability. This American commander wasn't just skilled, she was operating at a level that transcended standard armored warfare training. "All units, commence withdrawal," Kozlov ordered. "We cannot defeat this tank with conventional tactics." But Sophia wasn't finished with them. And now, the most incredible part. Sophia's tank warfare mastery that day revealed her not just as a legendary commander, but as an armor warfare legend. "Negative, hostiles," Sophia's voice came over their radio frequencies. "You came here to destroy our supply depot. That mission ends when your tanks are neutralized." She pursued the retreating regiment with relentless efficiency. Her Abrams moved across the battlefield like a mechanical predator, each attack perfectly timed and positioned for maximum effect. Her 7th and 8th kills came when 2 enemy tanks tried to use a wooded area for concealment. Sophia anticipated their movement and was waiting for them when they emerged. Her shots found their targets before the enemy crews even knew she was there. The 9th kill was a masterpiece of tank gunnery. An enemy tank tried to escape by using maximum speed across open ground. Sophia pursued him while maintaining accurate fire on the move, a technique that required incredible skill even with computer assistance, but which she accomplished through pure manual gunnery. 9 down, 21 remaining, Sophia reported to Thunder 6. "Hostiles are in full retreat, but I'm maintaining pressure." Colonel Kozlov couldn't understand how one tank with one crew was systematically destroying his entire regiment. His remaining tank commanders were terrified, confused, and making tactical errors that would have been unthinkable at the start of the engagement. Sophia's 10th through 15th kills demonstrated why the Army had trusted her with company command despite her young age. She used advanced tank tactics that combined modern equipment capabilities with old-school crew skills, creating a fighting style that no enemy had encountered before. Her shots found their targets with supernatural accuracy despite the lack of computer guidance. Her tactical positioning was so precise that she could engage multiple enemies while minimizing return fire, conserving ammunition while maximizing psychological impact on the remaining enemy crews. By the time Sophia had eliminated half of the original 30 tanks, the remaining enemy commanders were completely demoralized. They'd witnessed tank warfare mastery that exceeded anything in their training or experience. "American commander, please," Colonel Kozlov's voice crackled over the radio. "My remaining crews request quarter. We cannot compete with your level of skill." Sophia considered the surrender offer for exactly 5 seconds. "Negative. You came here to break through our lines and threaten American forces. That mission ends when your tanks are destroyed." Now comes the most dangerous part. The remaining 15 tanks included Colonel Kozlov himself, a veteran commander with over 200 tank engagements to his credit. He realized that conventional armored tactics were useless against Sophia's combination of modern equipment and Vietnam-era tactical knowledge. Kozlov made a desperate decision that would either save his remaining crews or result in the complete destruction of his regiment. He ordered them to form a final assault formation, all 15 tanks attacking simultaneously from multiple directions. "All units, final attack formation," Kozlov ordered. "If we cannot defeat her with skill, we'll defeat her with overwhelming firepower." Sophia recognized the desperate assault immediately. Her grandfather had faced similar situations in Vietnam, where enemy forces would commit everything to a final coordinated attack. She had exactly 2 minutes to position herself for an engagement against 15 tanks attacking from multiple vectors, each crew fighting with nothing left to lose. Most tank commanders would have called for support or attempted to withdraw. Sophia decided to prove why she carried her grandfather's legacy. She positioned her Abrams on the reverse slope of a hill that provided cover from multiple directions while offering clear fields of fire. Then, she waited for the enemy to commit to their attack. When the 15 tanks crested the surrounding ridges, Sophia was ready. And now, the bombshell drops. As the final enemy assault began, Sophia realized that her grandfather's techniques weren't just historical curiosities. They were the foundation of all effective tank warfare, stripped of electronic complications and reduced to essential principles. Her final 15 kills came in a sequence that lasted exactly 12 minutes. Each shot was a masterpiece of manual gunnery, each tactical movement a lesson in terrain usage and crew coordination. She used every technique her grandfather had taught her: hull-down positions, shoot and scoot maneuvers, crossfire positioning, and psychological warfare through demonstration of superior skill. When the smoke cleared, 30 enemy tanks lay scattered across the Colorado hills, and Sophia Morgan's M1A2 Abrams was the only armored vehicle still operational. "Thunder 6, this is Steel 1, Sophia reported calmly. "Engagement complete. 30 enemy tanks destroyed. Supply depot secure. Mission accomplished." The radio frequency was silent for a long moment before the response came. "Steel 1, did you just say you destroyed 30 enemy tanks? Single-handedly?" "Affirmative, Thunder 6. Used manual gunnery and traditional armored tactics. Request permission to return to base for resupply." Here comes the real shock. 3 hours after the engagement, Sophia received a secure communication that would change her understanding of everything that had happened. "Steel 1, this is General Patterson. Outstanding performance today. But we need to debrief you on the real nature of today's exercise." "Exercise?" Sophia replied, confusion evident in her voice. "Sir, I just engaged 30 enemy tanks in active combat." "Those were American crews operating captured enemy equipment, Captain. This was a classified evaluation to test whether traditional tank warfare skills could overcome modern electronic advantages. The jamming of your systems was intentional." Sophia felt her blood run cold. "You're telling me I just destroyed 30 American tanks?" "Negative. All crews bailed out safely when their tanks were hit. This was a controlled exercise using advanced simulation technology. But your performance was real, and it has revolutionary implications for armored warfare doctrine." The exercise had been designed to answer a critical question. Could traditional tank crew skills overcome modern technological and numerical advantages? Sophia had provided a definitive answer. But the real surprise was coming now. 6 months after the Colorado exercise, Sophia was promoted to major and placed in charge of developing new armored warfare training programs for the entire Army. Her techniques, which had seemed impossible to modern tank crews, became the foundation for a revolutionary approach to armored combat that emphasized crew skill over technological dependence. The lesson of Colorado, Sophia told her first class of instructor officers, is that computers can calculate faster than humans, but they can't adapt, improvise, or think creatively under pressure. Those are uniquely human capabilities that my grandfather's generation understood instinctively. She walked to the tactical display and began drawing tank formations. When your electronics fail, when your fire control systems go down, when everything digital is dead, you still need to understand the fundamental principles of armored warfare. One student raised his hand. Major Morgan, how do we develop that level of traditional skill? Sophia smiled, thinking of her grandfather. By understanding that every computer system you have is a tool, not a replacement for knowledge. Train like your life depends on your crew skills, because someday it will. And now, the real story begins. Today, Colonel Sophia Morgan serves as Director of Armored Warfare Training at Fort Knox, where she continues to teach tank crews that the most sophisticated fire control system ever created is the human mind properly trained and applied. Her office displays commendations from successful engagements fought using her manual gunnery techniques, but the decoration she treasures most is her grandfather's Vietnam War Service Medal and a simple note he left her. Sweetheart, the tank is just steel and machinery. The crew is what makes it deadly. Not everyone who carries family military traditions needs to be celebrated. Some people quietly carry forward techniques and wisdom from previous generations, using them exactly when modern solutions fail. Sophia didn't step forward to become a legend. She simply applied her grandfather's lessons to solve an impossible problem, and in doing so, proved that fundamental military skills transcend any technological advancement. Sometimes what the military needs isn't someone demanding recognition, it's someone who understands that the past can inform the future when everything else fails. And so, the story finds its true meaning. Somewhere on a distant battlefield tonight, another tank crew trained in Sophia's methods is fighting manual engagements despite electronic failures, ensuring that armored superiority is maintained when computers fail. Because that's what real strength looks like. Not the power that comes from machines, but the knowledge that lives within properly trained crews, ensuring that when technology fails, the mission can still succeed. Sophia Morgan, tank commander, armored warfare innovator, keeper of her grandfather's legacy, understood that better than anyone.